Hello, my name is Amanda Hansen Delaura, and this is my presentation on the Idaho Ren Fair or Renaissance Fair. I have in my audience here, I've got my dad on my cell phone, my grandma on the iPad, a friend on that cell phone, and my fiance. Let's make this PowerPoint really big here. So the Idaho Ren Fair allows audience goers to live out their fantasy in a family fun way located in Garden City, Idaho. This particular Renaissance Fair was created in Garden City and still is there in Idaho City. The Idaho Ren Fair Festival is like that of other Ren Fair festivals. They all have the same similar backgrounds, although they could be very different in the activities that they perform. They do this in a family-friendly environment. So the Idaho Ren Fair isn't just Ren, it's also Renaissance, and it also allows for the audience that we were speaking in the previous slide to dress up in a character that they choose. So you'll see a knight in the background here and a Viking up here. Renaissance fairs are not on one avenue. It could have mermaids, fairies, knights, Vikings. It's an all-inclusive place for people to do a live-action role play. So that brings us to folklore versus fantasy. Although these could be the same, they could also be very different. Folklore is age-old traditions that come down from live things that have happened that define the culture we have today, like knights, and now we have the military, which we don't dress up in steel, we dress up in uniforms. Fantasy being what we created in our minds that are unrealistic, such as mermaids and fairies and this particular individual that's dressed up as a mushroom. Now, LARPing, it could be the same or different with all of these. That'll really kind of stir everything up here. LARPing is considered live action role play. It's an interactive game which players assume the roles of characters. The Ren Fair helps keep our curiosity and imagination alive by having these in all 50 states that I am aware of. Some states may not have it or have something very similar where only hundreds attend or very few people attend. I attended my first Renaissance Fair in Utah, where at the time there, I was 15 years ago, there were 10,000 people plus there. However, if you come to a Renaissance Fair in Idaho, some of them start at like hundreds of people, and I believe Garden City is up to a couple thousand now as far as in attendance. So, the history of the Ren Fair, that wasn't always called a Renaissance Fair. In 1957, it began as a Christmas masque of traditional revels in New York City. In the 1950s, we started to see a huge influx in people being interested in the Renaissance era and how to reenact the Renaissance era from the 50s. So in 57, they made the Christmas masque. And then in 1966, they took this Christmas masque as it grew in popularity over 10 years, and they televised it on the Hallmark Hall of Fame. In 1971, it spread to a different state, to be specific, Massachusetts. So in 1971, they established this as a permanent festival or fair. Over the years from 1971 to 2024, we now see these Ren fairs in several different states and within those states in several different cities. For example, Idaho's got the most popular Ren fairs that are most put out on the internet are in Garden City, Rigby, and Sandpoint, Idaho. Now, we do not always call it the Ren Fair. As you can see, Christmas Masque has now become the Rogues Festival, Thornshire Renaissance Fair of Idaho, and the Idaho Renaissance Fair. With all these Ren Fair options, it's great to see how at the core they are similar, but the activities could be very different. Ren Fairs support family fun in a way that can be exciting and tantalize the creative sides of our brains. These events can also provide a sense of purpose and education for individuals that may feel lost or don't quite fit in. So this brings us to the end of my PowerPoint. Should you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you for attending. To my dad, Darren, my grandma, Sharon, friend Josh, and my fiance, Chuck.